So it's been a month since I've made any videos. I've mostly been trying to get used to work and getting used to a new place, new people, and all that comes with a lot of thoughts for me. And something that I guess really comforted me recently is Peppertones. So Peppertones, if you don't know, is this Korean two-person band, and I guess to me, they are in some way role models. Not in that I want to be exactly like them, but seeing how their life trajectory has gone gives me hope and gives me strength to be unconventional, to be doing stuff that makes sense to me but maybe doesn't really look that way from the outside. So Peppertones is a two-person band, like I said. They're both really smart guys, graduated from a science, from really elite science high schools, I think, in Korea, and then went on to study com science related majors. I don't really remember, at KAIST, which is also a very renowned school in Korea. And when they do appear on Korean variety shows, they are often remembered for the fact that they were really smart and that they graduated from KAIST, because I guess that's not super common among celebrities. So that kind of becomes like their main interesting trait when they are introduced. But I think the thing that strikes me most about them is really the fact that, like, clearly they were, well, clearly to an external, like an outsider perspective, they were doing well in whatever they've been studying, whatever they have moved on to throughout university, and they could have just gotten like a engineering or computer science related job, which I think one of them did for a short while. Maybe, I can't really remember. But no, instead they decided that they wanted to pursue music. Sorry about that, still recovering from a sore throat. But instead they decided that they wanted to pursue music because that's what they actually like and that's what they find brings them joy. And they were an indie band because, like, they didn't have the kind of traits that people would like sign on to be a star. They're kind of like quiet, nerdy, like decently okay looking, but like not star material. And like, if you see some of their earlier music, especially their earlier music videos, I think New Hippie Generation really does I think quite nicely captures the kind of vibe that they really had when they were younger, which is that they were choosing something that was like clearly out of convention, out of the norm, and it's not an easy choice necessarily, but it feels better for them. But it doesn't mean that it is an easy path to take. So that's kind of like my brief summary of Peppertones. I've attended their concert on 2 different occasions. I enjoy their music a lot. But I think more than that, right? I came to know of them before I did my first fun employment year. And I guess they were inspirational in that way of like, you can perform really well in school, at work, or whatever it is that, like, people actually want. And like, I mean, I was getting really pretty good grades in school. But it didn't really, like, I didn't really enjoy it that much. I didn't hate it, but I didn't love it. And like, it's just kind of like I would rather just do something else. Anyway, so that's kind of how they've been relatively, I guess, inspirational to me, um, in trying to figure out how to live my life. And I guess having the courage to pursue it, even if it doesn't look like the right move. But more recently, the thing that they did that gave me courage is they formed this trio called Mechanism with a comedian, this lady whose name I don't remember, but her surname is Cho, and she's a very exuberant woman, older than they are, very passionate, very energetic, very extroverted, I guess. And they are very, I guess, nerdy and geeky in comparison, a bit awkward in terms of speaking, in terms of like appearing on variety shows, kind of just like low energy. And I was watching this particular interview where that really came through for me, and I felt comforted by the fact that like, hey, it's not just me who's weird and awkward with people. Cause starting a new job, meeting new people, especially after like the last few months of mostly being alone. I mean at home with my family, but you know, like my family already knows me. Um, Meeting new people and like the kind of social dynamics that it sets up reminds me once again why I usually rather be alone. I can sense that like people think I'm awkward or that I give reactions that are not what they expect. And it's kind of like difficult because they'll be like, just give your first reaction. Like, don't think so hard about it. Just give your first reaction. And then I give my actual first reaction, and then they are like, why do you think like this? And um, I mean, the other thing that gives me comfort recently is also watching people who are autistic describe their experience. And I think this is maybe somewhat similar to that, but I mean, I don't know. I do think I'm potentially neurodivergent, but I don't know what kind, if I am. But yeah, it reminds me of the fact that there was a reason why I'm reserved or shy on first impression, and that's because through past experience, I have gathered enough instances and evidence of people being like, just show us your genuine reaction, and then me showing my genuine reaction, and people being like, huh, but not like that. And like, I think it's perfectly reasonable that like a person facing an experience like I've described would then, you know, decide to just not show so much of these reactions, because it's kind of like, you don't actually want my genuine reaction. You have an expectation of what that should look like, and unfortunately what I normally do is not that. And like, yeah, I mean, I don't have to pretend to have a different reaction, but it's just like my ego wants to save me some face, I guess. So anyway, back to the Peppertones interview, right? It was very comforting to see that, hey, it's not just me, who like might do okay or do fine when I'm alone, but then like when I'm with other people, I'm reminded of the fact that, yes, I am awkward. It's not that I myself inherently am awkward in myself. I think it's just the fact that when I'm around other people, the dynamics that's set up is such that it pigeonholes me into this space called awkward. And that awkward, what it really is, I think, is actually a descriptor of the dynamics between me and other people. So it's not an attribute that is solely just me. Like, I can't be awkward by myself. I can only be seen to be awkward when I'm with other people, which means like all communication problems, right? Like the problem is two-way. You can't solve it with just one person. And I think a lot of the times I feel like it is my responsibility to try and solve it. Because I'm seen as the person that is maybe the odd one out, different from what other people expect. And then I feel like, oh, then it is my responsibility to then try to fit in or to try to reduce the friction that I cause. But I don't know. I mean, like, the discomfort is felt both ways, right? Why does it only have to be me who tries to mitigate it? And then, like, seeing how Peppertones continued to be their awkward self, but at the same time also, in the end, they did do some of the stuff that they weren't very familiar and comfortable with, like doing some dance, which they've never done in their 20-something years of being musicians. Like, I'm glad they met somebody who was very different from them, but very willing to take that step to be like, let me tone down my exuberance and energy for you a bit, because I know that's too much for you. But I would also like to encourage you to kind of try stuff that you don't really do and be a bit more energetic. And I think, like, Mechanism as a group, I don't know how long it will last, if it does at all. But I don't think that's the point. I think the point is that they both met and were willing to kind of learn from each other. And it reminded me once more of like why I was so into Peppertones' music. When I first discovered them quite a number of years ago, it's as much about the music as it is the way they have lived their life and how that gets reflected in their lyrics and in their songs and the kind of content, I mean, like, kind of topic they choose to write about. Yeah. So anyway, I guess the point of today's video is just, like, however weird or alone or unique you think your experience is, like, I think given the fact that there's so many people and there's been so many years, like, surely my experience can't be that unique. But it really, really is very comforting to see evidence of that outside in the real world, to remind me again that I'm not alone in whatever I'm feeling, good or bad. But I guess we mostly need this when we don't feel great. So yeah, that's been that. It was fun to talk about Peppertones and not like talk too much about me, although I guess I did in the end. So that's this video. I'll see you again next time.